Welcome to Gratefully Gifted, a podcast for gifted kids by gifted kids, because we do think it's great to be gifted. So let's get started.
Welcome to First Some Fun. Some people say the glass is half full. Some people say the glass is half empty. Engineers say the glass is twice as big as necessary. How do construction workers party? They raise the roof. 70% of the earth is water and virtually none of it is carbonated. So the earth is, in fact, flat. Just kidding. Why did the candle quit his job? He was burned out. Which day do potatoes feel the most? Friday.
Now it's time for talking time.
Hello, today we will be talking to Dr. Swafford, the superintendent of Branson School Districts, on how to stay productive and about productivity. Dr. Swafford, thank you for meeting with us today. We know you are a superintendent and also have many other things that you are involved with in the community. What are parts of your jobs that are hard to stay organized, and how do you stay organized?
That's a great question, because part of my job, the success of it is staying organized. I have to admit, I can't do it by myself. There's a team that helps me, but specifically I do have an assistant that helps me because of the wide range of meetings that I go to and are involved in, plus my personal life. Being involved in lots of activities with my kids, I have to stay organized. And so helping me be productive, I have an assistant that helps me with that. And likewise, moving over from and this gets my age a little bit, but going from a binder type calendar to a computer and a Google Calendar has helped me immensely, because I have my calendar at my disposal all the time.
What are the busiest days for you?
I would say the busiest days are when I'm prepping for a board meeting a lot of times, and that really is probably my busiest week, because it really starts prior to the day. When I get to the board meeting day, a lot of times everything is prepared. But preparing up for board meetings, there's a lot of documents that have to be uploaded into a packet, and even though I don't upload the documents, a lot of times I'm preparing those documents and or getting others and helping prepare those documents. So those are some of my busiest days, coupled in with if I have meetings scattered. If I'm trying to do something and stay focused on one thing, a lot of times that doesn't allow me to do that because of meetings that I have scheduled within my day as well. So it's just a variety of things that can pop up that would cause me to shift.
Gifted kids are busy, not like you, of course, so we were wanting to know if you could give us some tips on how to be productive.
I would say first thing and foremost is that when you wake up every day, you have to talk to yourself a little bit. And now, and the joke would be is don't answer yourself, but talk to yourself a little bit about that. And that I think sometimes we have to tell ourselves that we're going to be productive, or we're going to have, if we're talking about other things, we're going to have a good day. The same thing goes with productivity is that, and everyone has their own way about being productive. Some people have lists that they have to check off, and sometimes I'm that way, but I can't say that I'm that way all the time. So we have to get to know ourselves a little bit and understand some of us are A-type personalities to the hilt, meaning that we're organized, we're check it off type people. We do this, we do that. And then there's other B-type personalities who are a little bit more go with the flow type. And that's why we have to get to know ourselves so that we understand what type of person we are, and then we adjust accordingly. We're never perfect at anything, and so we have to prep to do that. And so when I talk about waking up, when we wake up, we have to let ourselves know and understand who we are so that we can get ourselves ready for the day.
How do you prevent procrastination for things in your job maybe you don't really want to do?
Yeah, that's a good one, because the things that we don't want to do, we tend to put off a little bit. But I have found sometimes that just getting in and tackling those activities and jumping into them is sometimes the best thing that I can do. One is I find out that maybe it wasn't as bad as what I thought it was going to be. And then again, it might be worse. But with that being said, at least I may have a better understanding of what I'm dealing with. So sometimes I just think it's taking that first step. Thomas Edison, who's a great inventor, he used to say this: he was bad about procrastinating and putting things off about inventions and things like this. So he would make a public announcement about what he was studying and what he was maybe going to invent or do, and that held him accountable for doing so. So in our personal life, we may not be going to make a public announcement about it, but we might let a friend know. We might let our spouse know. We might let a sibling know, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And then maybe that'll hold us accountable to it.
Are there certain times of the day when you feel most productive?
Yes, morning is the best for me by far. And like right now, 11 o'clock or 9 to 11 o'clock, I'm most productive. And then depending on what kind of lunch I have, I might be the least productive. But I love mornings. It's different for everyone. Some people are better in the afternoon. Some people are better in the evening. I know teenagers in large, their most productive time is between 6 and midnight. That would not be mine.
How do you eliminate distractions when work has to get finished?
That's a challenge. And I go back to, like, if I was in Mr. Dean's position, Mr. Dean may have a set schedule in there of what he's going to do, but when things happen in the building, he has to attend to them. And it may just take that schedule and push it to the total side. I can't say that happens to my schedule that often anymore as superintendent, unless we have a safety issue or something that comes up in the district. For the most part, my schedule gets set and I can stay to that. But the way that I have to have help with that. I have a person that helps keep my schedule and helps keep me on time. A general rule I have is if I'm in a meeting like this and it starts at 11:30, then my secretary knows that if I have a 12:30 meeting, she's going to step in at about 12:30 and say, just a reminder, Dr. Swafford, you have a meeting at 12:45. And that lets everybody know in the room that I'm not being rude, but I just have a commitment in 15 minutes that I'd already scheduled.
How do you stay motivated?
Well, I feel like I'm doing my calling. And so that motivates me internally. And I think that's the most important intrinsic motivation. And so I've never really had a problem with that. Now, every one of us have good days and bad days where we feel more motivated maybe than the next. I think that goes back to my statement earlier is how do we wake up? And if we wake up at the mindset, you know what, I'm going to have a great day and I'm going to put forth my best effort, then that becomes habit for me. And we usually do.
When do you have the most distractions at work?
I would say I have the most distractions when there's multiple people needing my attention, and that does happen quite a bit. For example, if Dr. Moore wants to talk about budget, and then Dr. Dawson needs something instructionally, and then Dr. Arnett wants to talk about something in the operations world, and they all have issues at once. That's the one thing that is different about the superintendency than it is about those jobs I just described is I take on all of those things, and I'm not assigned any one specific thing, but I have responsibility with oversight of all of them. And so that gets distracting at times. And so I'm really thinking about one thing, and then another really important issue comes in. And so I have to really categorize the need. And I ultimately have to decide what the priority is. Can this request wait? And do I need to deal with something that, and my basic rule is there a safety issue? Is there something ethically or unethically that I need to deal with here? And then ultimately too, there could be things that I legally need to deal with. And so those are things that kind of factor into how I prioritize and keep distractions away.
How do you differentiate between urgencies and tasks?
I think I kind of just answered that a little bit because I really base it on, is there a safety need? In our world here, is there a safety need with our students or our staff? And then is it a decision that I can think about and wait? I use the rule. Yeah, I really probably can make a better decision if I sleep on it and think about it, but it doesn't always allow me to do that. And so I have to decide: is it something that requires me to make a decision right now, or can I sleep on it?
Are there any other tips you could give us on how to stay productive when you have important things going on that must be finished?
Yes. I would say stay mission focused. And what I mean by that is that it doesn't matter whether it's as a superintendent, as a student, or whether you're part of a team. There's always a mission that you are working towards, whether that's as a team, it may be to become a better teammate. It may be to win games. It may be to be able to play more. As a superintendent, my mission is a community committed to learning. That's our district mission. And so for me, that really goes down to, okay, do I hire good principals that ultimately can hire teachers that can teach students at a very high level? And so that's staying committed to my mission. And that allows me also, if I'm doing those things well, then I'm being productive. Just on a daily level as well is that, and I keep going back to it, but waking up in the morning, and when you start your day, I think that's what starts everything in the right way, is that I'm gonna talk to myself about being productive. And I think when we do that enough, it becomes habit forming, and we'll find that our productivity increases.
Thank you for joining us on this podcast episode. I'm sure it'll encourage someone else to want to be a superintendent like you.
Thank you very much. Maybe you all will be superintendents.
Welcome to Tips and Tricks from Gifted Kids.
I'm Cameron.
And I'm Cash.
Today we're going to be covering ways to stay productive as a 4-gifted child.
These are some tips and tricks that might help you from a day-to-day as a gifted kid.
You can start by learning to calm down if you're about to explode. One thing you can do is to find someone that comforts you whenever you're stressed.
And to know whatever makes you upset.
Let's start.
A large problem gifted kids face today is piling too much work on themselves.
As a gifted kid, some students will assume that school comes easy to you, but in fact, it can be quite the opposite.
You might be struggling with homework, and it is often really hard to complete an assignment without being distracted.
One of the things you can do is to find a quiet place to work, such as your bedroom, or a quiet place where you feel comfortable, because this will limit your distractions so you'll be able to focus.
Something else you can do to help with school is to limit your stress. I always get stressed every time I leave school and I'm starting homework and I don't remember how to complete it.
And this ties back to our previous subject of not being distracted in class. If you're feeling distracted, you can ask your teacher to move seats if you find that your environment is distracting, so that when you do the actual assignment, you know what you're doing.
These are a few of the many things you can do to help to stay productive as a gifted kid.
Before we sign off, I have a riddle for you. What starts with E, ends with E, but only has one letter in it? An envelope.
Well, that's all for today. We hope you enjoyed this episode and learned some things you didn't already know. If you enjoyed it, please share with others, like and subscribe while you listen to this podcast. We appreciate your support, and if you would like to reach out to us with other topic ideas, just email us at gratefully.gifted, that is with no spaces, at brentonk12.mo.us. We all feel grateful to be gifted, and we hope you do as well.